Hi, everyone. So I'm back. Olofor, sorry, do you think you could make Ivan a co-host so that he can start sharing as well? Because I don't see where is my option, or do I have it already?
So I made you a co-host and Ivan
Ivan, okay.
as well. So
He should be able
yeah,
to share.
Ivan
Okay.
should be able to share. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, yes, I would just like to say a few words first to everyone. Welcome to the second afternoon session that is more focused on high added value products from the sea cucumbers and the opportunities there are for producing and getting more knowledge on this aspect of sea cucumbers, especially the Atlantic species. And I wanted to ask you all to please let us know by email or in the chat for the roundtable that is, after the roundtable that is next to this session, there is an opportunity for whoever is interested to assign rooms within this group and have bilateral meetings. This could be 15 minutes or whatever time you need, but we will need to know that in order to organize it digitally. So if there is anyone who would like to have a discussion with the speakers or with some of the other attendees, please let us know so that this can be consulted and arranged by the time this part of the program is due. Take your time, think about it, but please let us know. So I would like then to pass the word to our first invited presenter, Ivan Carrera. He's from Euroespace, which is a company focused on functional food products. And they have an associated medical center, a hospital that is part of the company. So Ivan, thank you very much for joining us. We are happy to have you, and you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much for having me in this meeting. I don't know, see my presentation?
Yes, it's just not in full,
Okay.
full presentation mode. It's just the way you see it. Yes, now it's, yeah, perfect. And now it disappeared.
It's okay now?
No, it disappeared. You're not sharing the screen anymore.
Okay.
Now it's coming back. Yes.
Okay. Here now, you can hear me well?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yes, fine.
Okay. Okay, so I'm Ivan Carrera. I'm glad to participate in this meeting and share sea cucumber with all of you. First, I'm going to talk about our company, who we are, and tips. And later on, I will briefly share on our previous experiences and with Sea Cucumber as a developing nutraceutical as part of Spanish government program.
Okay.
RESPES group is comprised of 3 main blocks. There's biomedical research, biotechnology center, and publishing, which is international reference in research implementation of genomic and personified medicine in biotechnology. Our aims are document scientifically studies in health promoting properties of nutraceuticals, validate them, new ones, and apply our know-how in preclinical and development of biomedical and biotechnology industry. And also offering analytical services and biotechnology products. We have developed several type of different products based on the development of new techniques such as transgenic mice for animal models to investigate new compounds against Alzheimer's, Parkinson, metabolic disease. Also nutraceuticals, neuroprotective, other types of effects. And there are new projects of nutraceuticals as well as we also research and animal pellets with the gain of effect with the background of the knowledge that we get from nutraceuticals. And also, we also perform preclinical experimental studies for pharmaceutical external institutions. We basically do such as clinic analysis for food intolerance, histamine, and also preclinical research, preclinical assays, proteomic studies, genetic expression assays, and also neuroscience, technological and epigenetics research. So these give us a background of knowledge in products to develop the whole new approach on functional nutraceuticals based on natural products such as the sea cucumber is in this particular case, and also develop new neuropharmacological lines of research. So as I said, we cover from the beginning of active principle or such as particular substance or compound, and we go through the preclinical and clinical stages in our facilities, medical center, the reach and final product that would be a nutraceutical. High technological equipment. And, this is one of our recent results that we can act at molecular level so that we can analyze them and share the knowledge of each compound and its effect. Nutraceutics is a food product whose nutritional and functional characteristics provide benefits, improve health, reduce disease risk. Can be accompanied by other type of active components or exogenous nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. However, these types of products that cover a wide range of possibilities should be taken as part of a healthy and balanced diet and never as a substitute. The nutraceuticals department is devoted to research of these products that are natural bioderivative of different and vegetable extracts, which are obtained by a means of non-denaturating biotechnological process, known as lyophilization, enables the preservation of whole bioactive properties of their ingredients. These are the type of nutrients that we have in the market in different kinds of disease. And I'm gonna share some of the our main work in the project of sea cucumber that we've already been done in a few years ago, and just to show what we can do and what we are able to do. We were capable of determining the adjuvant of heart healthy product and selection of available bioactive molecules, and develop a prototype of this nutraceutical with sea cucumber. We go through preclinical studies in cellular culture, and we analyzed and fatty acids that were main in this. We go through the analyzation of extract by lyophilization of sea cucumber, mainly the Forscali species, and we analyzed the quality and effectiveness of these two kind of fatty acid of omega-3. And this is the main procedure that we go through in our facilities as a powder that get all this grounded powder that goes into the capsules. And these will be the final main presentation of the sorry. And these will be the capsules with the powder inside of the powder of the grounded powder of the Holoturia, and then also the pellets that were so developed, getting all the effects and the beneficial effects of these healthy products. And as I said, it is a heart healthy nutrition product with a great antioxidative and antihypertensive potential. So regulate cardiovascular pathologies. So this is really it, and thank you everyone for sharing and for all your attention. Thank you.
Ivan, thank you very much for the presentation. Can I ask just briefly if you could mention also how far have you gotten with the validation of the product of this nutraceutical in animals or in patients, if you have proceeded to any human dietary interventions?
Yes, we are turning it into this now. We are not finished the
testing,
the testing in patients, but we are on it, and the effects are really good. So we hope soon we will get it also into the market with great results.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. So I would like now to give the word to Olafur, who is a specialist in Matis as a partner in HOLOSUSTAIN, has also a contribution towards the scientific aspect of studying sea cucumbers. And besides the networking objective, which is the main core of HOLOSUSTAIN. So Olafur is specialist in carbohydrate science, and he will present you briefly the focus of Matis. Please correct me if I have said something which is not totally. So please.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm sharing my screen. So
yes.
Do you see my screen, full screen?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. And you hear me well. So yeah, now a little bit, now to the sea cucumbers and derived products and bioactivity. So I will mainly review the specific ingredient components and the bioactivity, and a bit in the context of potential product development. So we can say that this is a kind of Icelandic perspective, as I will mainly talk about Matthijs research and observations and Icelandic products. So you still see my screen here. So this is just an introductory slide. I think you know all this, but in Iceland, the main or the species which is caught, which has been mentioned here in earlier lectures, is the Cucumaria frondosa. Although there are more species which are found around Iceland, but I'm going to go directly to the products. You know, as you heard today, there are some fisheries occupied in catching sea cucumbers around Iceland, and the main or the only species is Cucumaria frondosa, as I said. Now, in Iceland, we are only a small population. We are only 365,000 people. Nevertheless, there's a lot of interest in sea cucumbers, and there are many companies active in sea cucumber business, you know, preparing or selling sea cucumber products. For example, dried sea cucumbers, whole or milled. Now here we see 5 products from 5 different producers. So the sea cucumbers are obviously a very popular product in Iceland for the health market. Most of these are products are exported mainly to China or only to China. But some are available in Iceland. For example, these 2. These are capsules from Arctic Stars and a company called Protis. They contain Cucumaria frondosa extracts. These are really the products which are most pronounced here in the Icelandic market. Now, as you see here listed, the sea cucumbers contain a lot of healthy stuff. This includes amino acid, fatty acid, antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins. And also the sea cucumbers are a very good protein source because they are relatively high in proteins and low in fat. So the health benefits are evident. Now, at Matthijs, research and development activities, they have a strong focus on the blue bioeconomy. And this is because the fish industry is the fundamental industry in Iceland. And the blue bioeconomy is therefore of great, extreme importance. So in this context, Matthijs has studied sea cucumbers and their components. And I'm briefly going to review one study, but first I want to mention again, which Mira was talking about this morning. One of the project's objective is to incorporate a searchable database as an intranet access, especially focused on sea cucumber chemicals, nutritional, and metabolic potential as a tool for the discovery of novel potential health-related products and applications. So hopefully soon we can retrieve a lot of information from the HOLOSUSTAIN homepage, and we can use it, as a source of information. But I'm going to also mention here a recent review paper. So this is from the this is a review paper on the northern sea cucumber Cucumaria from the Memorial University of Newfoundland. And in this paper, I think all known bioactive compounds found in the cucumaria and their linked bioactivities are reviewed. So this is a very nice source of information. But the project I'm going to talk about was done in collaboration with the University of Iceland and companies like Reykofnin, which has been mentioned earlier. This was an Icelandic company which was engaged in sea cucumber fisheries for some time ago, and Ice Protein. This is also, well, it's now called Protis. Actually, this review here refers to our studies a few years ago. So in this project, we had a student from India, her name was Vasya Kale, who at the end received a PhD degree from the University of Iceland for her studies on carbohydrates from the sea cucumber, Cucumaria. Now, this study included isolation, structural characterization, and bioactivity studies of sulfated sea cucumber carbohydrates or polysaccharides. Now, the carbohydrates, they are mainly found in the body wall of the sea cucumber. Now, in the body wall, we find a skeletal system consisting of calcareous plates, or ossicles. And this is a kind of cartilage material, as it contains cartilage carbohydrates like chondroitin sulfate. Then bioactivity is often linked to the carbohydrate molecules. So the aim of this study was to investigate the different carbohydrates found in the body wall and determine their bioactivity. Now, here we see the basic structure of the chondroitin sulfate found in sea cucumbers. It is actually a polysaccharide with a sulfate groups, and in sea cucumbers it's also linked with fucose, or fucose is linked to the chondroitin chain. And I will mention this fucose later. Now, Vasya managed to isolate and fractionate 3 different polysaccharides from the body wall of Cucumaria. And we see here the extraction and fractionation procedure to the left, and the chromatogram to the right, where the peaks correspond to the 3 fraction. And the table below, this is the monosugar composition of the 3 fractions, and they tell us what kind of sugars, monosugars, are in the polysaccharide in these 3 fractions. Now, and from the table, we obviously see that there are different types of sugars. These are different types of sugars in these fractions based on the different amount and proportion of the sugars in each fraction. Now, fraction 3 contains quite a lot of glucuronic acid and N-acetyl galactosamine, and also fucose. And further analysis, chemical analysis, more detailed analysis, revealed that this fraction 3 was actually a chondroitin sulfate fraction containing branches, fucose branches. Now, fucose is a sugar commonly found in marine environments. For example, in brown algae, you find a lot of them, but also elsewhere. In the mother milk, we find fucose. And fucose oligosaccharides and polysaccharides are known to be bioactive molecules. Now, bioactivity. When we talk about bioactivity, we are referring to impact of molecules on various biological processes. So the list here includes diverse bioactivities. In our study, we focused on the three top activities: antioxidant activity, immunomodulating activity, and anti-diabetic activity. So we conducted an immunomodulatory activity study of all 3 bioval carbohydrates, and this was done in collaboration with Jóna Freysdóttir at the University Hospital in Reykjavík. Now, this study indicated that fraction 1, containing sugars or saccharides consisting of mannose and a substantial amount of sugar which we call N-acetylneuramic acid, showed significant immunomodulating activity. And these results were further supported later by a continued study conducted by Matthijs and the University of Iceland. And here we also saw immunomodulating activity by fraction 2. So what does this mean? So we can say that these studies indicate beneficial properties of the body wall sugars, for example, in the fight against extracellular infections and or limiting various chronic inflammatory responses. Also here we conduct an anti-diabetic study, and especially for the fraction 3 containing the sulfated chondroitin sulfate. Now, you know, glucose levels in blood are critical for diabetic patients. Formation of glucose can be reduced by inhibiting metabolic enzymes such as starch hydrolyzing enzymes, for example, amylase or alpha-glucosidase. And this is how some antibiotic drugs function. For example, acarbose, which is a sugar, is an anti-diabetic drug functioning as an inhibitor of starch hydrolyzing enzyme. It prevents them from functioning and from forming glucose. Now, investigating the inhibitory effect of this fraction 3, which contains the sea cucumber chondroitin sulfate, it revealed that it shows a potent inhibition activity, and especially for one of these starch enzymes, the alpha-glucosidase, and it really inhibits that. And this was also reflected in the IC50 concentration, which is revealed here in the table. The IC50 concentration is the concentration of a drug that is required for 50% in enzyme inhibition in vitro. And the chondroitin sulfate IC50 concentration, you can see it's in a similar range as for the alpha amylase. For the alpha amylase as by the drug acarbose. But for the chondroitin sulfate is much better inhibiting agent for the alpha-glucosidase compared to the acarbose. So what does this tell us? The chondroitin sulfate fraction from the sea cucumbers have really a potential to function as a drug, reducing glucose levels in blood. And now to the antioxidant activity. We also investigated that, especially the chondroitin sulfate fraction from the sea cucumbers, and we compared it to shark and bovine chondroitin sulfate, which we find in the cartilage of shark and in bovine. Now, the oxidant activity may be linked to different chemical agents. You know, in the body we have radical compounds or metal oxidation agents, you know, which causes, which causes oxidation, which is not good. So to cover all this, we need different antioxidant assays to measure this different activity. Now we carried out 3 different tests, which are listed here on the screen. 2 of these assays indicated that the sea cucumber chondroitin sulfate is it's a moderate antioxidant, and importantly, the activity can be attributed to the high sulfate content of these sugars. So, a conclusion of these studies. 3 types of sulfated polysaccharides can be isolated from the body wall of the Atlantic sea cucumber Cucumaria frondosa. And these polysaccharides, they are really different with respect to structural properties and physiological properties. Now, fraction 1 and 2, the sugars 1 and 2, they really show potential immunomodulating activity. And the third kind of sugar, which is the chondroitin sulfate, this is a strong inhibitor of alpha-glucosidase and a moderate inhibitor of alpha amylase. So it shows anti-diabetic activity. Now, on the antioxidant assays, they revealed that the fraction 3, the chondroitin sulfate, is moderate, and the activity is attributed to the high sulfite content. Now, of course, there are more bioactive compounds in the sea cucumbers besides the body wall carbohydrates. Now, in the paper I referred earlier, the review paper, it reviews these activities in detail and lists them in a table. So besides fucosylated chondroitin sulfate, we find, and carbohydrates in general, we find in the sea cucumbers, we find collagen, we find glycosides, we find phenolic compounds, glycosphingolipids, proteins, vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, etc. And all these compounds can contribute to bioactivity. And beside the 3 bioactivities which I discussed, linked bioactivities to these compounds are, for example, anti-cancer activity, anti-tumor activity, anticoagulant activity, antimicrobial activity, etc. So the sea cucumbers are a great source of bioactive compounds. But now the question, can these compounds be extracted and purified on a commercial scale? Can they be exploited, in a concentrated form? Can we then achieve some further valorization? Now, the objective for establishing production of purified compounds, which would be to really increase the volume activity of the products by concentrating the active compounds, and this might lead to valorization of the seaweed feedstock. But is this necessary and practical, realistic? Can this be done in a sustainable way? Of course, I can't answer it now or really elaborate on it. We at Matís continue to work on sea cucumbers. We scaled up this carbohydrate extraction process in a continued project in a collaboration with the company Ice Protein, now Protis. So we produced the carbohydrate fractions, the 3 different carbohydrates or the sugars together in an extract, and now Protis has a product on the market. But to produce isolated compounds will be a challenge, as the yield is low, gram isolated compound per kilo sea cucumber. It's always low, and it will be difficult to implement this in a process in a sustainable and cost-effective way. Probably we would need further development and optimization work. But the most important is to do this all in a sustainable way. And to do that, it's necessary to utilize all or as much of the sea cucumber biomass as possible, concurrently or in a cascaded manner. Then maybe maybe it becomes feasible, but that will be difficult. And yeah, and the sea cucumbers are really valuable and limited source, so we have to be careful. Yeah, so that's it from me. Now I will stop.
Also, there has been a question.
Okay.
How do the quantities combinations of the nutrients you mentioned compare to existing products on the market?
So the most of the existing products on the market are extracts with mixtures. Of course, I don't know all of them very well, but I assume that they are not really in a very concentrated form, but they seem to function anyway. And here we, really isolated the bioactive compounds, purified them, and the question is it worth it to do that in a commercial scale, or is that achievable?
Yeah, this is a difficult question. Yeah. Okay. I already commented in the chat that people who want to go ahead and present questions at the end of the session will have a slot of 10-15 minutes to discuss this. So I will pass the word now to Mr. Jens Valdimarsson from Arctic Star Iceland.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Can
Yes.
you see if you have the share screen option?
Yeah, I have already made it available, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Oh, I will just let me see.
Yes. Okay. Perfectly seen. Yeah. We can see your first slide already.
So Jens is muted. I'm asking him to unmute.
Yeah.
Jens, can you unmute? Yes.
No. It's okay
Now
now?
we hear you. Yeah.
Okay,
Now we hear you.
Thank you very much. I will thank you for the morning. It will be very interesting to hear to all of you. I am from the company Arctic Star, and my name is Jens Valdimarsson. I will tell you a little bit about Arctic Star and our activities. Let me see how to do. Yeah, here. Our history will start in China. I was working in China in 1995, and everywhere I came, they offered me sea cucumbers to dinner. And I was maybe not so glad for it because I didn't like the taste. But anyhow, they told me it was very healthy and I should eat it every day. Okay, but 10 years later, in Iceland, we start to study sea cucumbers, where to catch and what kind of sea cucumbers. I mean, make a lot of tests and a lot of speculation. And the Icelanders in the very beginning, let me see, I'm not in the right place. How to do? Yeah. We study, of course, where to catch, what kind of fishing vessel and all this kind of stuff. And in the very beginning, the Icelander almost just process block frozen sea cucumbers, export to China, South Korea, and so on. Still, we are processing whole round sea cucumbers. But then we start drying sea cucumbers, exporting to China, and they looks like that. And Arctic Star did pack 500 grams or even more, mostly for the Chinese tourists coming to Scandinavia. But what to do with sea cucumbers, dried sea cucumbers? To make a dinner out of it, you need to put it to water at least 24 hours. And then you can start to make the food, slice it down, make a soup, however. But the whole process take at least 24, 30 hours. And then we somehow start to make the speculation. Are we ready to do that every day to just keep us healthy? Or what is the other way to do it? And then we call it new thinking. Around 2012, we start to make a lot of experiment with the sea cucumbers, how to do. And in the end, we come up with these capsules and we put it to these boxes you can see there, or with these glasses, I would say. And that was another point there. How can we get the Westerners to eat sea cucumbers and the younger generation in Asian to eat sea cucumbers? The Western people, they will never start to make dinner out of sea cucumbers. I'm almost sure. Europe and Americans, they don't have time to this kind of stuff. Even the younger Asians, they don't have time. They go to the restaurants and they can buy sea cucumbers. But then they might be eating sea cucumbers one time of the month or even just one time of the year. But they like to eat sea cucumbers because of the health. So we started making all this experiment in 2012 and we came into the market 2015 with this kind of product. So we have been on the market now for 5 years. But we did continue, and now we have 2 more products. It's marine collagen and sea cucumbers plus D3. This is just coming into the market this year. And we are expecting that, I don't know what to expect, but anyhow, it is going quite well. And both in Asian market, European market, and America, we are looking into. So we don't know what will happen for the future, but I'm almost sure in the near future, we will have more products made out of sea cucumbers. I'm almost sure.
Okay.
But what's happened now? Just now in October, we get in cooperation with a Norwegian company, Norway's Seafood. And from Iceland side, we are Arctic Star and Hafnanes Vera Limited. And our plan is to start operation in Norway. And we hope we can be there start fishing in January. But because of COVID, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But that is anyhow our plan. And we are looking forward to start this cooperation with Norway Seafood in Norway. Good health is what all of us want to have. And I can tell you a lot of stories about sea cucumbers, both from China. Our customers have been calling us and telling us how good a sea cucumber is. And we believe in sea cucumbers. Because of that, we are trying to go into the market and make an excellent product. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jens. Now I just wanted to ask,
Okay.
so there is one question that could be probably addressed by you as well in the chat. And then I also wanted to ask you regarding your product, what distribution channels are you targeting for it, for the capsules?
All kind.
All kind.
Yeah.
I've seen that many of the products are actually sold through Amazon. I was really
Amazon,
surprised.
it is Amazon, it is many other net shops
Yeah,
and
like Alibaba.
stores, and we are going everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay. And then the other question, which was raised by Rachel, was also a little bit if you could comment, since you are launching a product into the market, if you you can comment about the regulations needed to develop a nutraceutical product from sea cucumbers. Have you had any issues with that? Did you get any specific permits? Because this is
you need to have it here in Iceland. You need to have permission to this kind of process, and you need to then, if you are into the ES, you can process then for the whole Europe, and we have a license into China, same into America, and we have been registered as Arctic Star in Europe, America, and China.
Okay, but did your permission start from America then, or it's an Icelandic properly?
Iceland.
Okay, and you addressed EFSA's representative in Iceland or the local authorities first, just as advice to
local
others?
Local authority.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, then I would like to move to our next speakers. So
how can I go out to this?
Yes.
Stop sharing, is that?
Stop sharing, yes, that's the button.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jens. So the next speakers are a group that we consider associated with our network. They were initially part of the application of HOLOSUSTAIN, but then due to funding issues, they were not involved directly in the project, but we always try to collaborate as soon as possible. And there have been ongoing collaborations between Mariforsking and the group of Charlotte Jakobsen for quite a long time already. So Charlotte, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes. So can you see my screen now?
No, we don't see you. No, you don't have the video on, I think.
I actually did put the video on. But anyway, can you see my screen now?
Yes, now yes.
Yes, yeah. Good, so we'll just put it in the presentation mode.
Yes.
Let's see. Good, there we go. I'm from the National Food Institute at the Technical University of Denmark. I have not myself worked with sea cucumber, but some of my former colleagues did that. But what I'm gonna share with you today is more an overview of what we are doing in my research group for bioactives analysis and application, and that will then be followed by Kind Loft, who will be talking about what they do at Danish Technological Institute. So just a few words about the Technical University of Denmark. So it was founded back in 1829 by Hans Christian Ørsted, and with a mission of creating value for the benefit of the society. So we regard ourselves as an international elite technical university. And we have more than 11,000 students and 6,000 employees. So actually we do think that our ranking also allow us to say that we are an elite technical university. In the very recent World University Research Rankings, we were actually ranked #2 in the world and #1 in Europe and #1 in the Nordic region, which we are of course very proud of. So now let me move to my own research group for bioactives analysis and applications. So our mission and objectives is really to obtain knowledge and also develop technologies and processes that will in different ways contribute to fulfilling or obtaining the UN SDG goals. So we particularly want to focus on goal #2, ensure access to nutritious food. #3, prevention of non-communicable diseases and also promote mental health and well-being. And #12, which is related to circular bioeconomy. So our specific objectives is to obtain knowledge and also develop the different technologies which will contribute to improving the eating quality and oxidative stability of foods, And we have a particular interest in foods that are based on aquatic raw materials. And we also want to contribute to increasing the population's intake of healthy foods that are rich in particularly vitamins, healthy lipids and proteins. And that tells you a little bit about that these are actually the components that we are mainly focusing on. But as you will see, we also have an interest in other components, particularly antioxidants. Then we also work a lot with the algae biomass. So we're looking at how can we optimize the content of bioactive compounds in both seaweed and microalgae. And we also have an interest in cascading processes or biorefinery technologies to secure full exploitation of marine biomass. And that also is the reason why we are interested in sea cucumbers as one of the marine biomasses. So this is just an overview of who we are. So we are 4 teams of experts that are working together in the group. So we have one team working on particularly on lipids and omega-3 fatty acids, but here we also deal with proteins and peptides and so on. We have a team working with vitamins, one working with algae, and also a sensory team. So we have some facilities. We kind of say that we have a technology platform, and here you see some of the equipment that we are using for cultivating microalgae and seaweed, making different types of food products, for example, using different emulsification equipment. We have also developed a dryer for microalgae, and we also have facilities for extraction of bioactive compounds using, for example, supercritical CO2 extraction and subcritical water extraction. And then we have the analytical platform, so we have the possibility to do various types of analysis, and we also have a sensory panel where we can do both objective and subjective sensory evaluations. To give you some examples on the research that we are doing, I have chosen a few of the projects that I would like to mention. So one of the projects is an EU project called VASIBI, which is dealing with the challenge that we are currently not really exploiting the aquatic resources in an optimal way. And especially if we talk about fish products, up to 70% of the fish end up as low value products. And we do really need a better logistic and infrastructure to ensure that we can use these side streams that are produced when we are also producing fish fillets. So that's actually what we are looking into in the VASIBI project. And here you see the different partners in our consortium. So from Denmark, Spain, Sweden, France, and Holland actually. And our main objectives is to solve the challenges that prevent the more sound exploitation of the aquatic resources. So in this project, we look into different storage solutions, developing new storage solutions to improve the shelf life and quality of the side streams. We also look into better sorting technologies, as well as decisions tools that will make us able to really efficiently utilize these side streams to make the right decisions on how they should be used and what they should be used for. And finally, we also develop technologies that will convert seafood side streams into different high value foods and feed ingredients. Excuse me. So that includes both proteins, peptides, savory ingredients, and mineral supplements. That's our main focus. So that was one project. Then I would like to show you or mention a little bit about another project that we have done, where we looked into side streams from shrimp production. So here we used the shells to develop an innovative flavor enhancer using a special filter drum, where we could actually extract the liquid, which could then lead to a new flavor ingredients. I would say that we're not at the end, but we have of the project, or we have actually finalized the project, but there's still more work to do there. But there's definitely some potential. Another project that we have worked on is how to use liver discard from different fish species that are caught in the Danish waters that could be used for making sustainable oil, fish oil. These livers, they are currently just discarded at sea, but we actually demonstrated that there is a potential to use this resource. Another recently finalized project is a project on starfish. So here we investigated the possibilities for exploiting starfish for extraction of a new ingredient, which is both rich in omega-3 fatty acids, phospholipids, and a little bit of vitamin D and some pigments. And we also showed that it's possible to extract this oil, which is very rich in phospholipids. And you can do that, for example, by using supercritical CO2 extraction. We have now applied for further funding to further develop or move on with this project. But we have definitely shown that there is some potential. So that was my part of the presentation. And now I will leave the word to Karin. Karin, do you want me to continue with the presentation, or do you want to share your own screen?
Yes, if you can continue, that will be really good.
Yeah, so you just say next when you want me to change the slide.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for having me at the DTI. We have a strong focus and many activities within seafood and blue biorefinery. And yeah, my name is Karin Loft Ejby, and thank you very much for letting me present DTI. At the next slide, you can see that we are next again. Welcome to Danish Technological Institute. We are quite a old institute, over 100 years old, and we are an ITO institute approved by the Danish Minister of Education and Science. And we are grounded by the Gunnar Gregersen back in 1906. And the next slide. We are located in 4 different places in Denmark, and we also have 2 locations in Sweden and 1 in Spain. Our main office is in Tostrup in Denmark, and the second largest location is in Aarhus, in the second largest city in Denmark. And the next slide, we are quite large institute, though we have a large infrastructure, and our expertise is that we want to combine knowledge with the practical experience. And we have over 70 laboratories and over 100 or over 1,000 specialists in Danish Technological Institute to service industry. And in the next slide, we try to obtain the best results and solution in combination and creating value with our customers. And we have over 10,000 customers in many countries, and an annual turnover of over 15 million euro. And in the next slide, I'm from the food technology department, and in that department we help food industry with sustainable production, primarily with new technology production methods. We also work and provide food with high level of safety, health, and quality, and look into all these perspectives. But we also work with new products and also new raw materials from plants, from animals, and even insect raw materials, and try to explore that in new products. And in the next slide, you can see that we have different focus areas, 5 different focus areas in the Food Product Technology Center. We have a group working with product development that's mainly with new processes like 3D printing of food and fermentation, evaluating new food ingredients and develop prototypes and evaluating, for example, ingredients in different food products. We also have a group working with the food protecting safety, like HACCP and these things, legislation, food fraud and labeling, and also a group working with characterization, that is physical and chemical characterization application tests. We also have facilities for pilot production in food grade, both by refinery, but also extrusion, texturizing, for example, of protein pelleting or testing enzymes or ingredients. And then we also have a possibility for sensoric testing. We have consumer testing, and we can test new products, prototypes, and so forth for consumer acceptance. And in the next slide, we have a quite large portfolio covering national and international collaboration together with industry and other research institutes within seafood processing and utilization of side stream. We have different projects regarding creating value from fish, and also several projects regarding creating value from shellfish side streams. That's mainly shrimp and blue crab bycatch. And in fish, it's a broad range of activities here. And but not yet we have any activities regarding sea cucumber, but we are really open for collaboration in R&D funded activities or contract research activities. Thank you. That's the next one.
Okay.
The next
Thank
one.
you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Karin. A brief question regarding your capacities for 3D printing ingredients, I mean equipment, and for research focus regarding this. Could you comment?
Yes, we have a food 3D printing equipment, several of them, some minor, some larger, and we have quite many activities regarding this. One large activity is a connection with the hospital and personalized food, where we use 3D printed food for it's used for patients who need to personalize the intake after operation and so forth.
Okay, and there has been a question in the chat regarding work with viscera from sea cucumbers. It's a little bit towards all the presenters in the session so far. Are you aware, are you yourselves working with the viscera, any of you? And are you aware that there be work regarding sea cucumber viscera? From what I know, they are often filled with sediment because this is the way the sea cucumbers eat. So they are not easy to work with, and I'm not aware of any studies, but my knowledge is limited also. So,
I don't know anything, no.
No. Olafur, have you heard anything about that? No.
No, I haven't heard anything about that. No.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Ivan, if Ivan Carrera has any knowledge on this during their process, but I'm again not sure that anybody has worked with that, except for studies regarding microbiota, intestinal microbiota, and composition of toxic elements or environmental pollutants that might be accumulated in the viscera, and this is for environmental survey studies. I'm not aware that anybody has found high added value compounds in the viscera. Okay, so I think now it's my turn to show you a little bit what our group here is interested in regarding the, thank you Karin and Charlotte very much. So what our group here is focusing on regarding bioactivities and functional studies. So I will put on my screen, just please let me know if you are seeing the slide now. Is it seen in full screen? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Fine.
So my purpose mainly was to give an overview to all the colleagues of where the knowledge is in general about the sea cucumber biodiversity and high added value products. And I have mostly focused on 3D, on tissue engineering, tissue and organ engineering, which is one of the new fields that is very fastly developing. And sea cucumbers could have application there, but I also will briefly mention pharmaceuticals, although these were already reviewed by several of you already previously. And also just want to mention that there are some cosmeceuticals, which are a combination between a cosmetic product that could have medicinal application. So these are also available partially on the market. So briefly, the biodiversity of sea cucumbers in the North Atlantic is quite important. In general, the sea cucumber species that are known are about 7,000, and it's actually not the total. There are a lot of estimates saying that both sea cucumbers and their associated microbiota are not fully known in the world. I mean, all the biodiversity potential regarding these groups on Earth is not known. And then regarding the North Atlantic, if you pick 10 species that are well known and their distribution, they are quite widely distributed. I mean, they have a quite wide distribution and can be found and fished in different zones of the Atlantic. This data is based on the information available in the Sea Life Base, Marine Species, and the IUCN Red List. So often, I mean, this is publicly available information, but also in some zones, there are many different coexisting populations and species. So generally, these are not well known, and if you compare the available, so with this brief list of 10 species and their distributions, if you have a look at the public databases and what is known about their genetic information and biodiversity, the full genome is only known for 8 species, and 7 of these 8 species are from the Pacific. So let's mention this before, and it's known that Gida also was commenting, the Pacific or the hot water tropical species, they are always more interesting towards bioprospecting and studies of a high added value potential, because they have a more fast metabolism. So they are often synthesizing earlier and in greater amounts secondary metabolites, which are interesting to the to the pharmaceutical industry. But still, there are currently, so the sea cucumber potential market is drawing attention towards them for the last 20 years. So recently, there are several open bio projects on full genome sequencing in species like Holturia poli, Arginensis, Forscali, etc. So about the 3D tissue engineering and organ development, which I mentioned, it has been started also some time ago due to the limited availability of donor tissues and organs for clinical applications. And this translational medical research field has been advancing quite fast. So it is basically, it needs the support of biopolymers, which can actually provide physical and chemical support to the cells that form the tissues and the organs, in order for these to survive in external to the body conditions, and then be fully functional and available for possible transplantation to a human subject at the end of the whole process. So this is quite a complex development. It hasn't reached yet the full capacity that is targeted, but still what I would like to draw your attention on is the scaffold biopolymers, which are actually, they have to be non-toxic, widely available, cheap, not cause any immune response in the host. So this is quite a challenging issue, and have also a controlled degradation process and kinetics, so that their production can be controlled. And we are talking about upscaling and commercial production, and then also have very, very specific mechanical and physical-chemical properties in order to ensure the functionality of the cells and tissues that are incorporated in them. So regarding the biomaterials derived from marine resources, here you can see a very good review in Marine Drugs, which is from this year as well. No, sorry, end of last year, which has been revising the actually applied biopolymers for the scaffold development, for support development in 3D tissue constructs. And as you can see, the components with highest applications are the alginate, which is derived from brown algae, and mostly, and then the collagen. So the collagen so far has been used mainly from animal byproduct sources, but the marine collagen offers some mechanical properties which are better. Also, it can be relatively cheap and available from byproducts, from marine byproducts, and then it has a very specific characteristic, which is that it can permit to avoid some animal-derived infections that could be translated through the animal collagen when this one is used. So let's say that these are from the same reviews article, some of the mainly the wide used marine derived biopolymers in hydrogels. So you can see chitosan, alginate, but also gelatin, which has been used, so fish gelatin mostly so far. And there are some more lower amount, lesser applications for some other biopolymers. And so here regarding the possible applications of sea cucumbers for tissue scaffold and cell incorporation study. So the collagens of the sea cucumbers have been one of the first compounds studied, often before any genetic information or genomic information is available. The collagens have been studied. So what has been more particularly interesting in sea cucumber collagens, these are up to 40% of the body wall of the sea cucumber, and they can can switch their structure from totally rigid to totally amorph within seconds. So this capacity is very interesting regarding hydrogels because this permits to change the mechanical properties of the support for the cells according to the conditions that are targeted in the human body, and this provides an important advantage for using sea cucumber collagens for scaffold development. So here you see two articles which actually treat on understanding which are the proteins or the features that assure this particular characteristic of sea cucumber collagens. So as I mentioned, here we have another type of approach. These are studies that have focused ever since 2008, when the study of the group of Capadonna from the United States was published in Nature. These are studies that try to mimic through artificial constructs or artificial compounds the characteristics of the sea cucumber collagen. So these are also, some of these are also available. The issue is that some of these artificial constructs, they have toxic compounds inside, which are not so desired in tissue and specifically organ development and transplantation. So also mention that the sea cucumber collagen has also been studied regarding applications in moisturizing cosmetics, and this was the beginning of the applications in cosmeceuticals. So here you can see, so the sea cucumber collagens haven't been used still in scaffolds to our knowledge, but this article, for example, cites a study of applications as a wound healing hydrogel in rats with the Pacific species Stichopus hermanni. So this is one of the figures of this article where on basis of 5% sea cucumber powder, a hydrogel has been developed. It's a combination of sea cucumber and alginate hydropolymers. And you can compare, so on figure A, you can see the effect of this novel sea cucumber-based hydropolymer in comparison to standard hydrogels used so far in wound healing. So on 21 days post wound formation, there is a better effect of recovery in the case of application of Stichopus hermanni product. And I wanted to mention briefly our focus here at Meriforschking. So we have several specialists focused on biotechnological and biomedical research. And we are trying to study the physical and functional properties of the Parostichopus tremulus collagen with specific focus on peptides with bioactivity that can self-assemble into hydrogels at physiological conditions, and that could be used for further bioink development. So just to mention that we are carrying out molecular studies of these peptides derived from tremulus, and we are, so the group here at Meriforschking since many years ago is focused on nutritional characterization of tremulus, and several applications have come from our leader Margaret also on tremulus composition, nutritional composition, and also proteins and amino acid composition. But we are currently focusing on the bioactive antioxidant peptides, which are able to self-assemble. We are studying through mass spectrometry their composition, and we are focusing on bioinformatic interpretation of this data, and on the next steps we are interested in are bioavailability studies with these compounds, also to see how much of these could be actually available to the human body if used directly through hydrogel injection. So this is these all are long-term targets, but we have laid the basis and we have started researching on these topics. So some publications are pending on press regarding this. And I wanted to mention also briefly the pharmaceutical bioprospecting in sea cucumbers. So what is very interesting that, of course, Cucumaria frondosa is quite thoroughly studied and has been researched during 20 or more years in order to be so advanced regarding its market applications, but there hasn't been actually a really systematic pharmaceutical bioprospecting in the Atlantic species. There are companies pharmaceutical companies that are working with Atlantic species and their associated microbiota regarding anti-cancer compounds, but really systematic studies haven't been done, so this is lacking in order to know the full potential of sea cucumbers for applications. And also the lack of genetic information on the full genome properties is also kind of a bottleneck for these thorough bioprospecting studies. However, there is a general recognition of the need of of discovering of novel compounds with antimicrobial and anti-cancer applications from the public funding bodies. And the EU actually published a call in January on bioactive compounds from terrestrial and aquatic resources in the hope of getting some further research regarding novel antimicrobial compounds, for example, because the antibiotic resistance is a huge issue. But of course, it should be mentioned that actually a lot of these biodiscovery pipelines, they actually provide a lot of candidates, but very, very, very few of them actually reach drug development stages and human trial. So Olafur already presented quite detailedly these compounds, the compounds that have been identified in Cucumaria frondosa, but this study, it's a 2018 study, reviews generally all the bioactive compounds that have been found as possible drug candidates so far in different sea cucumber species, some of which are also Atlantic species. And what is interesting also is that there are 2 or 3 compounds that have entered or are already in pilot trials for applications in human applications. So you can see here, for example, this TBL12, which is actually a quite extensive mixture of different compounds, but it has a huge sea cucumber ingredient participation, and it is granted orphan drug indication for multiple myeloma by FDA in 2012, and it is currently in pilot phase 2 trial in patients, as according to our knowledge. And also frondoside A from Cucumaria frondosa has received a lot of pharmacological attention and is being studied as anti-cancer drug. Yes. I wanted also to draw your attention actually on these issues. There are also a lot of, I could have shown a slide on the different cosmeceuticals. However, I'm not aware on how far many of these are supported by scientific studies. So I will just mention that there are different cosmeceuticals on the market that are as showers for skin and head issues, like growth, hair growth. Also oils from sea cucumber, mostly from the specific species, but also some products with Cucumaria frondosa. And there are also creams against as sun protection against the sun and black spot removal caused from sun UV effects, and also some skin collagen support. So these products are with relatively well-established scientific background. So what I wanted to summarize is that there is a very great potential. The message I would like to transmit: there is a very great potential for bioactive discovery in sea cucumbers still. The tissue engineering and pharmaceutical development fields are there, and the Atlantic species need a lot of research and scientific support in order to be able to contribute to tackling these societal challenges like disease, allergies, and better nutrition. We are specifically interested and would like to underline the potential of the bioactive peptides as novel drug candidates, and this is the research line we are working in. And also outline the need for systematic acquisition of genetic biodiversity information so that the whole value chain development could actually get as close to market as possible. And we consider that the further studies into the environmental makeup and ecosystemic functions of the sea cucumbers could actually help establish novel possible applications for them as marker organisms for as novel models for medical research, as well as marker organisms for pollution and toxicology studies. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Sorry, I don't seem to be able to switch the slide. Yes. So this is what I have selected to comment today. I would then pass the word to our last presenter for the session. Yeah, unless you have some questions for me right now, or if you want, we can discuss this after the end of the last presentation. Are there any questions? I cannot see. Sorry, I must stop sharing my screen so that, yes. I see there is something in the chat. Yes, no, there is some friendly comments. Thank you for that. But no questions. So I would then pass the word to Jacobo, who has been working for a while with sea cucumbers as well, HOSMA. So he will present you their focus and also some of the processing equipment that has been developed by them for sea cucumbers on board. Jacobo, the floor is yours.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everybody. I would like to introduce my company, HOSMA. We are a Spanish company in the northwest of Spain. We was founded in 1976, and the first 15 years we was focused on the machinery for fishery vessels. Then, because of the development of the fishing industry and because new fishing grounds was appearing around the world, we started 2 new companies, one in Namibia and the other one in Argentina. So we can say that we are around the world, if it is good to say. Then in the 90s, we start another company in Promar. This company is focused in the plants on land, not in the vessels. And the 80% of our business is because of the fish, but we are doing some business too in the poultry, in the meat, in the vegetables, always in the fat industry. So as you can see here, we are in Spain, obviously. This is not Namibia, this is Nigeria. We are here in Namibia and in Argentina. Okay, regarding the sea cucumber experience that we have in the past, we participated in the 2015 in the HOLOGAL project. It was a Spanish project. And as an engineering company, what we have to do is to design and develop a small prototype to put it in the fishery vessels. It was really small because, as you can imagine, the sailors doesn't have to pay too much attention to the sea cucumbers because at this time it was discards. When they fish in the fishes, the holothurians, the sea cucumbers was a discard. So we have to do something simple to operate it, and in order to treat 20-30 kilograms per day. So the prototype was have 4 or 5 different zones. I'm going to explain it right now. The first one was the gutting area. As you can read here in the slide, what we have here is a double pipe. For one, we put water, and the other pipe is used with a vacuum in order to insert the sea cucumber into these 2 pipes in order to wash the inside of the holothurian. We want to remove everything, the visceras, and clean the sand and all the rest that we have inside the sea cucumber. Then what we have after the internal washing was the external washing area. We have it here. We have these skins. And we clean the sea cucumber, the skin, to remove sand, algae. Then what we have in this area is, okay, it's not the cooking area. What we have here is to put the sea cucumber inside this this recipient. We have water with temperature. We tested with different temperatures and times, 30, 40, 50 degrees, half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, in order to check the different qualities of the product that we have. After this time of cooking, if you let me say this, we have the cooling with brain area in order to stop the cooking process. What we do is to put it inside in cool water to stop this cooking process. One, we stopped this cooking process. One, we put it in cold water for about, I think, 1 hour more or less, and then we put it into the freeze. So we did the prototype. The prototype was tested in the ANFACO facilities, and then we put it into a vessel. It was in the vessel for about almost 1 year, doing different tests. And okay, then 1 year after, we have another project using the experience that we have in the first one. It was called the HOLOPlus project. And that's all, nothing more to say. I know that it's not too much technology compared to what all of you was explaining, but I am the mechanical guy, so sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's very interesting. Could you comment if any Spanish vessels are currently using this or part of this equipment for sea cucumber processing on board? To your knowledge?
Nowadays, no. I mean, they was installed in one of the Spanish boat for almost 1 year, but they was trying to find how to add value to this kind of product in order to sell it in the Asian markets, but it was no easy. And I mean, this kind of companies still thinking on the all products that they used to fish. So they don't pay too much attention to this kind of products nowadays. I hope this is have to change, because I think it's a good opportunity. Talking about the fish of this kind of the sea cucumbers, in order to sell it in the markets.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, and then I'll pass. There are questions in the chat, but just a last question. So from my knowledge, there were some of the RV fleet. This is the fleet from Vigo port, which is the fourth biggest port in Europe regarding the turnover of goods. So there were 2 ships in RV which had portions of this equipment. For example, the shower part that is for sea cucumber washing, and combinations of the boiling part, which is for co-processing on board of the sea cucumbers together with shrimp, for example. And they were testing this for some time. That's some previous knowledge I had a little bit after the end of the HOLOGAL project. But I'm not aware if they have discontinued this use or not. I know that often this is a modular equipment, so it's interesting because you can actually use only parts of it if the ship permits it or is interested in, because often the space on board is limited and not all of the equipment can be fitting. But the ship that was used for HOLOGAL was research vessel, right? But the commercial vessels, they have tested parts of this equipment and were quite satisfied with some of them, like the shower that is washing the viscera out and then permitting the direct storage of the sea cucumbers either through boiling or through drying or on board. And then I will proceed to the question that is in the chat, which is from Margaret. Do you have experience with production of tremulus or frondosa? Because actually, Cucumaria frondosa, because tremulus is one of the species that has been fished by the Spanish fleet in the Gran Sol also, which is near the UK islands. But do you remember from the HOLOSUSTAIN, or have you worked further after with Cucumaria frondosa or tremulus?
Whom are you asking, Mira?
Yeah, or Josmar, Jacobo.
Sorry?
Have you worked with Cucumaria frondosa or tremulus in your studies afterwards?
No. We was working with the regalis and forcalis, if I remember well. It was 6 years ago, because these species are really common in the North Atlantic and the Portuguese coast. So yes. We was focused in the regalis, in the forcalis, forscalis, and yeah. I don't remember the third one.
I think it was tremulus, but then it was extracted from a very great depth, so it wasn't in a condition for easy processing after this, because it was decomposing when put on board. But that's what I remember from the HOLOGAL.
Yes.
Okay, have you ever, if there is an inquiry regarding providing parts of the equipment or selling it or providing design, what is Josmar interested in or can offer?
I have to say, to be honest, and say that we didn't have too many inquiries about this kind of equipment. I know that the test was always good. I mean, they was really clean inside, but the problem is that we don't find a partner able to try to sell this product in the Asian market. So the fishery companies, they need someone to buy them the product and sell it in Asia. So yep. They did the product, they added value, but then they arrived to Vigo, to Spain, and they was not able to find somebody to sell it in in another market.
Okay, so the format, the commercial formats were kind of standardized, but then the supply chain didn't work out. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat. I would suggest that we take half an hour break now, just for some coffee, because this session didn't have any previous breaks. And then in half an hour we come back and we start with the round table. The idea of the round table, so that you all know, is that we discuss some issues among all, like what we could do together or what is needed from the different perspectives, research, in the industry, and also from the government, the legislative organizations, in order to promote further sea cucumber research and value chain development. So please join in this discussion, whoever is interested to be part of it, and have some time off now for a coffee. And see you later. Thank you.
Okay, so we should join again in half an hour, 22.
22 to, it will be in your case 1 o'clock, no? And here it's
Yeah,
22.
yeah, it's 22 2 o'clock in Reykjavik, and 22
Yeah.
4 o'clock. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, see you soon.
Yeah. See you.
Olafur, I just wanted to comment that the company that wanted to raise questions to the representatives of the authorities, she left. Sangot and Maria. She wrote in the chat a private message saying that something urgent came up. So I'll try to raise this issue, but I'm not very sure exactly who will be able to answer, and yeah, so we'll see. And there haven't been any suggestions for bilateral meetings, so I propose we just after that we just finish after round table.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, can we start again, Mira, or want to take?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think I'm seeing that most of the colleagues are back, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just wanted to say that now there's an opportunity to raise hands. You know, it's in the participant list. There are options to mute and more functions, including raising hands. But this does not apply to the hosts, as far as I understand.
No, it's curious because I don't see it either.
Yeah. So I don't see it, but others who are not assigned as hosts.
Yeah.
So I will now.
Maybe we can ask Ellen. Ellen, can you raise your hand? Do you see this option on the screen?
Let's see. I have clapped my hand, thumbs up, heart, joy.
Yes, I saw one hand. That's probably Antonio. No.
Yes,
no.
I probably have that one.
Yes.
But that's clapped my hand.
Okay. Okay, great. Now,
I'm not sure that's you know.
No, but Antonio seemed to have raised his hand.
Okay, good. I'm now you know removing the co-host option by those who are co-hosts. So
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, just a brief introduction. We thought about this round table because, for example, we as project coordinators and scientists get a lot of questions from the industry regarding what should be the next steps, for example, to take further in order to be able to realize a product on the market. So especially the questions are regarding the legal framework, but also often, for example, what refers to EFSA requirements, we are asked to provide information on how to make a dossier, how to gather all the necessary information behind so that the dossier can be actually functioning. And as researchers dealing with interested and focused on sea cucumbers, we have had a lot of issues with governmental funding because sea cucumbers haven't been like ever so far in any of the strategies. So if you can think about the algae, for example, algae for long years were not in the focus of any strategic funding. And then after a lot of efforts and lobbying and work on algae, so now they are kind of everywhere and research on them is potentiated. So I think personally, I don't know if you share this opinion, that the sea cucumbers need the same focus kind of from the government organs, both European and also national, in order to get the studies that are needed behind done as fast as possible so that the industry can realize actually the full potential of the sea cucumbers without the resource being damaged. Because what happens from what I have seen already from 3 sea cucumber projects, the sea cucumbers are being fished. They are continuously extracted in lower or higher amounts, but a little bit everywhere. And these nutraceutical products, for example, they are being produced. And since there is a legal kind of less legal requirements towards nutraceuticals than towards drugs, for example, the companies often realize their product in the nutraceutical market rather than developing a more higher added value product because of the legal background again. So I think that in order to be able to carry out, like in the morning session we saw, population studies are missing. Biology is not known. A lot of the capacities there are, so in the HOLOSUSTAIN library so far we have candidates for uploading of about like 500 or more references on sea cucumbers worldwide, but still a lot is not known. So I would say that the genomic information and the population studies are kind of the first to be done, because we applied in January as a consortium to this European call on bioprospecting, and one of the comments of the reviewers, which is totally justified, is that you cannot actually develop a product value chain if you don't have a sustainable management for this resource. So this is logical. Even if we had involved in our study population and genomic studies, it was still impossible to get the funding, although the highest note for the first stage was 10 and we got 9, and still we were not selected for funding. So I would like to ask Erna and Jonas, in name of some of the companies in Norway, for example, that unfortunately they said that they couldn't attend the roundtable for some urgent issues, but for example, Sangolten is a company that has appealed to the local authorities for realizing application to EFSA for the Norwegian sea cucumber. And then they got not a very clear response on that, but they were redirected to the EFSA headquarters in Europe. So they were kind of lost and they didn't know how to proceed from now on. So from the Icelandic experience, which is kind of advanced in comparison to the one on the Norwegian species, could you advise us how we should proceed, how the companies should proceed in order to get more attention from the government regarding fundings, regarding support on sea cucumber research and innovation? I don't know if Jonas or Erna would prefer to comment.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
This is Jonas. So we have actually had, and in my opinion, it has been a little bit difficult is getting, in general, extra money for new species, to do a research on new species in our waters. And this, for example, this year was the first time, we got, or we kind of, we within our internal budget, we made a space for, a survey for the cucumbers in our waters. So I would say, the government there is a little bit lack, that, there's a special funds for this, but I don't know about the money that has been, gone through, kind of the research and development, regarding the production size with Matís, but regarding the fisheries, it has been a little bit time, this has now been an ongoing fisheries for more than 10 years. So, and this is what we have done a little bit work, but, we should have been doing more than we have done already. And maybe licensing side, this started in 2003. And people have, and many of the slides, been discussing the ecological impact of dredging, which is high, and we see that, with the species that is mainly being caught on, hard bottom. So, and that is also something that, a little bit, I would say, an area which I didn't touch on, but, we are concerned about the ecological impact of the dredges, for this particular species. Yep. And we are not, we are, when we look at new areas, we want to make sure that, that we know that if we have any information that there are vulnerable species in those regions, that we will not proceed with, experimental fishing. So unlike Norway, that it just, completely shuts down all dredging and towing within their fjords, that's something that has been discussed here, but never been implemented. So it is still allowed to fish with a dredge, and that's something that we need to be really careful, about, but in many of those areas, the cucumbers are in kind of, are bulk of the catches, which we see, so they can be 80–90% of the catches. So, but there are some vulnerable, species as well.
We are actually not sure even if, there is some population variability, or if there isn't, at what distances this population variability can be observed. There is absolutely no genomic population genomics information, and this is very dangerous because they might disappear fully from one region and appear in another, but we cannot actually follow up. Ellen, please, I see you raising hand.
I just wish to ask on Iceland there, Jonas, do you know what depth that they fish the sea cucumbers in?
So we are fishing them, you know, from maybe 10 meters, 10, 15 down to, you know, close to 60, 70, even 100 meters.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different, you know, it's a little bit deeper in the eastern part than in the western part, but they can be found relatively deep, you know, as being a filter feeder, you would, you know, assume that, you know, they are relatively high up in the water column, but it's relatively high, but they are, you know, from 10 down to, you know, 100, you know, maybe the bulk of the fisheries between 20 and 50, if I could, yeah.
And I'm also thinking, because this is generally hard bottoms, do you have any environmental monitoring programs that monitor these bottoms to see what is the natural densities and can look at regrowth of stock?
So we have our plans for this, actually, for this survey, last survey. So that was the first kind of, you know, designated survey for the cucumbers. You know, we were planning to do some photos and campods, you know, taking videos and video transects within the areas, but the weather was not helping us this time. And so we did the dredges, you know, and so we can see with the bycatch coming from the dredges, you know, that in some areas, the bycatch, you know, we were getting some, you know, some soft corals and, you know, tunicates and, you know, there are all kinds of, you know, hydroids, you know, there are all kinds of, you know, vulnerable animals that comes up with the dredge, you know, because of course, you know, the bottom is really hard in many of those, you know, and you know, those animals tend to live for longer, and the disturbance, you know, the impact is of course much more severe on harder than softer bottom. So that's something that we are aware of, you know, but it's
interesting. Thank you very much.
Yeah. In Norway, there are surveys of the coast that are carried out by the Havforskningsinstitute, the Marine Research Institute, but they are patchy and they do not cover they are not focused on sea cucumbers. So the data hasn't been put together specifically on sea cucumbers. And we have submitted now recently a project supported by Fishery Directorate. We hope that it will be funded, but of course, it's as always, we are trying, but we don't know if we will be lucky enough to get the funding. So
yeah, because the interesting thing, what I'm after is, it would be interesting to find data of undisturbed population densities for species, and not then getting the data by trawling, which is disturbing, but by ROV, for example, to see what is the natural densities, because we don't know anything about if they are high density but patchy. So there's clusters of high density and then vast areas of nothing in between, or if there is an even scatter. And before we know that, I mean, it's very difficult to give any kind of management advice.
Yep. Yeah, maybe David from Aurora Seafood could comment something about the specific gear that they have developed. Is it permitting to have some better observations regarding the sea cucumber positioning, or because you mentioned that the European SME instrument project that you got is focused on specific gear for sea cucumbers. Do you have any additional insight into the distribution of the sea cucumbers, or how this specific gear is making it easier to catch them, or more sustainable, or whatever?
Yeah, can you hear me decently? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have a specific answer to the main core of the question, but to elaborate a little bit on the fishing gear. Traditionally, the fishing gears from Canada are ski dredges, so the hard impact on the floor, on the ground floor, and the fishing is just iron skis pushing through everything that they can collide on. The maintenance of these gears have been extremely high, especially in the rocky areas here around Iceland, and the cost of operation and of course we assumed that the environmental impact would also be much more of the skis than if you would add rubber wheel sledges that kind of moves more easily through the terrain. Also, we've implemented sensor systems on the sledges, which allows us to see the distance between them, because if they collide, they flip each other over, and if you drag them on the top side down, and then you just rip the bags open, all the catch gets crushed underneath the chains and so forth. So, and we managed with the equipment and with this development to decrease these incidences by around 90% plus. So we can see when they are tilting, we can see if they're colliding together, but before that, the captains had no idea where the fishing gear was really located. But connecting this to the main question, do we have any experience with the population density and the changes? This is mostly carried out by Jonas to follow us on how is the capture rate effort, is the capture rate effort deteriorating? And we have had a long still ongoing debate between the fishing fleet and the Marine Institute about the quality of these measurements, because we are operating in Olympic fishing. The Olympic fishing now is the underlying foundation for the quota system. So it turns everything, all the volumes of everybody to maximum. Everybody tries to push the fishing efforts as they possibly can. We are trying to fish in worse weather than we ever should and want to be operating in, which moves our fishing and catch rate down as much as possibly can, because you would accept to be even in a deficit in the fishing if you believe that your fishing today will become a quota in the future. So if you look at the numbers that Jonas has been showing us, this is not only showing, or this is our view of the point, this is not only showing the decline in the catch rate, it's also showing the massive increase in amount of how we push the ships out on sea in all conditions whatsoever. So which vector is stronger? Is it the biology giving away, or is it just us becoming completely insane, fishing in conditions we should not be? I'm not sure, but Jonas is trying to evaluate different aspects like weather, different captains, different ships, different time of the year, and so forth. But it does a lot, but I think it only goes maximum halfway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, David. Very precious insight. I wanted to ask, since, for example, Sam Golden left, but maybe Vicky and Gunnar, would you like to ask a question regarding what are your needs, or what is your view? What do you want to see as support from the government, from us researchers, in order to get your product being sustainable, available, and the good quality that you target?
Right. Well, yeah, I wanted to go back to the previous topic that you were raising there, of how to get the most notice from the government for funding. From my experience in the corporate world, which seems to be just as bureaucratic as the governmental space, having a cross-section of different parties, say for instance, the research community, businesses, fishermen, and others, coming together to broach this issue with these governmental bodies and ask for the funding, it would be, I think, the most persuasive. Because when you have a cross-disciplinary group who's saying the same thing, you're putting more weight on that particular topic. And because we've been really out in front to promote the Norwegian sea cucumber, we've had a lot of locally people come to us and raise us a lot of opportunities that they see. So for instance, we've had ROV pilots that have been working in oil and gas and then moving over into the fisheries say to us, well, when we're doing surveys for Mowi or, one of these big fish farms, all we're seeing underneath those fish farms are a bunch of sea cucumber. And, you know, if we had the means to, you know, extend the boat time and the ROV time, then we could combine those activities so that we would be able to collect that kind of information. But without that funding, they can't just take on the cost of the fuel and everything themselves. So I think that, you know, maybe the fisheries department can speak better as to if anyone has come to them with a cross-disciplinary group before, and if that has been helpful or if that would be helpful to them. Because we have a few different connections that could actually make this work in a unique way, using the resources and the expertise that we've got here locally.
Board, would you like to answer that or comment?
Yeah, I can give a quick comment because to my knowledge, it hasn't been a cross like a gathering who have come to us. It's scattered companies which are asking, but I'm working with the funding of these kind of things on hand. But we have one funding arrangement which is specific to driving expenses that cover expenses at sea, either in catching or in collecting data. And this is a good place to start, I think, if you want to collect data. And there's also a lot of data collected because marine litter is quite quite in the scope today. Or these days, and some of the at least lost fishing gear is collected by ROVs, at least to a certain degrees, and they are actually driving transect at depth where you find sea cucumber quite systematically, and I've seen some of the videos, and they're quite a lot, and synergies like that could also be used, I think.
Yeah, the industry representatives that come to us, since we are Applied Research Institute, are from very different regions of Norway. They're all small, and they all have the same questions: how can we promote our products so that we get to the market? So there is, I think, a gathering mass regarding sea cucumber products and interest in potentiating this, specifically the Norwegian species in this case, but I don't think it can be only isolated from the whole ecosystem approach. So yeah, I think that Norway is starting on the same track as Iceland, and hopefully we will get there soon. Okay, so yeah.
Opportunity here then for us to take advantage of some of the funds that that he was discussing to start collecting this data. I think for us, I mean, our primary concern is doing this sustainably because of the history in this industry. So, you know, just tell us if you want us to put in touch with these people, or, you know, how you would make this kind of move forward.
And if there is a way that we could lobby all together, you know, in front of the Norwegian government and also the EU government, that you can think of, because we are scientists and we are not so experienced in lobbying, but we see that there is a need so that this species enters in the strategies. It is even not in the industrial strategy so far, because we tried to target FHF and they said that this is not an objective species for them either. So it's a kind of a strange situation. Sorry, I stopped complaining, okay? And there has been another question that was raised by Rachel. Rachel, would you like to present just with 2 words the platform that you are coordinating right now?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Do you hear me well?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the project manager of Marine for Health. So for the cluster NC Blue Legacy, it's a Norwegian cluster. And my work is to improve the commercialization of marine ingredients. So we are really interested by new ingredients from sea cucumber and from this kind of new raw material and new species. And for us, what is also really important is to highlight the regulation needs to improve the commercialization of the sea cucumber, of a product from sea cucumber. So if everyone, maybe I think more about Icelandic industries, can comment about that. What are the needs to to put in the markets this kind of product for regulation? But I also want to comment about the harvesting part, because you spoke about the area, but I also wondering, I'm sure that the season when you have to fish, when you can fish the sea cucumber, it's really important for the quality. And what is the impact of the season of the quality on the sea cucumber?
Yeah, a few difficult questions. Would anyone like to comment?
Yeah, maybe Erir, Vicky from Erir Norway. Do you need like quality standardization for your product to sell it on the market, on the Chinese market?
Yes, I think so. It's something we've talked with Margaret, who works with Mira, about having a way of ensuring the handling is done at the appropriate quality level from the moment it's brought up all the way through until it's sent to the customer, has not been done here in Norway. And by providing a minimum standard, then we'll be able to ensure that the value for the resources is really fully realized. I'm not sure I caught what you were saying at the beginning. Maybe you can kind of elaborate further. Is this something that you're interested in working on, or where are you coming from on this?
You mean for the regulation part?
Well, with regards to having a minimum quality standard, and is it that you're looking for or suggesting that there should be a regulation to establish that, or?
Yeah, no, it's just like about, because sea cucumber now it's fish by bycatch. So it's, I think the quality really depends of the season. And I don't know if you need this kind of standardization, and if the Asian markets need this kind of quality standard.
Well, definitely for the Asian market, anything that puts a stamp on your product, whether it's valid or invalid, is always attractive to them. However, to me, you know, having something that is not just a fake stamp, but an actual real stamp, means more, especially if you're going to more of a premium segment. So I think there's absolutely value in this.
And so I just, do you need to like have analysis about the composition, like the chemical composition of your product, or you don't really need like this kind of composition?
I think having information that better highlights the benefits of the product is useful. Anything that then can identify that this is actually Norwegian say, for instance. You know, I don't know if there's some sort of traceability, you know, with respect to, you know, the genetics themselves. Then I would be really stepping outside my knowledge base. But anything that validates that it is from Norway and guaranteeing that to the customer, in addition to quality and any other health benefits that can be substantiated, is helpful.
Okay, thanks.
Just to comment on your question about the time, we don't have enough information to say, but we can see on the quality from May and June is less meat in the walls of the sea cucumber. So, and this is of course of importance for our customer. So that's something we registered. And also I want to add on, like, one of our value in Isle of Norway is that we know the formula, not only from the catch, working closely with fishermen, but also working closely with the drying processor. So for the scaling up part, we want to do this in quality. And the reason, like Vicky also said, we don't export the raw material is because we want to have a control on a highest possible quality product starting in the market. So we're not pushing much volume in the start, and then for the Chinese to push the price down. So if we can work on the value in product, both product could together, like cross holistic, like it was mentioned from Sweden here, which we really believe in. I think that's a very good way to start to do it and balanced. So and this is again, this kind of forum like this can help us share knowledge, competence in different ways. So we're more like holistic, coming from different kind of cross sections, coming more, because it's kind of small, you know, it's a niche. When you think about salmon, it's so big. It's almost like the oil and gas in the beginning when they talked about sustainability, maybe from other section. It's like, oh, well, there's not enough money in that. But at some point, it will happen. So this is like, it's the time is now, right? So more postponing in this. So, but if we gather this together and see opportunities, I think it's really valuable for us in that field.
Okay, I wanted to use this is a great occasion. We have Annie Mercier with us, who is also a partner in the project. So I wanted to ask her advice regarding the studies on the population. Do you have any advice on how this should be taken further? Do you have any overview of the Canadian species populations, if they are very divergent, if they are located by clusters? Annie, can you hear me? I'm not sure if she hears us. Sorry, I'll try to contact her. They have published one study on the, yes, let me see if Annie can, a study on, for example, the alternative ways of moving in the sea, in the Cucumaria frondosa, that will absorb some water and then float with the ocean currents and then move on large space, over large spaces. So this could be actually a species that is actually able to cover large distances, and there might be not such a big population divergence, but we are not sure. Annie doesn't seem to hear me.
Yes, I just got back.
Sorry. No, I was just asking for advice from you with a lot of experience on studying Cucumaria. Could you advise us on the population approaches that we should take? Do you have any overview on how this is organized in your species?
in our species. So it's very hard actually to get a clear overview. So that's been the limitation, I guess, everywhere, because we always have assessments in very limited, very constrained areas. So it's very, very hard to get, even from here, we've been trying, and unfortunately this year we had planned to help our government agency go and conduct more thorough assessments, but because of the pandemic, it's been very, very hard to actually get a grasp on this. We wanted to take a video approach, because essentially all the assessments are made with, well, through the fisheries or with similar gears and all that. So we wanted to get more visual assessments in the future. And I think there's a lot of efforts being made, even the harvesters themselves wanting to have visuals on their gear, so that then everybody could contribute to assessing the populations much better across across wider areas. So I don't know if that's the case as well in your areas.
Yeah, we are just getting patchy information so far. We are not sure, but we have the ambition of trying to put this together.
Yeah, and this is how also we could, with visuals, we could get a better grasp on what's going on with catchability and things like that, because with the ABA happening, we don't know exactly if this is triggered by the gear, for instance. Both when we're conducting assessments and with the fishermen's going out. So if we had visual during all these assessments, instead of just trawl, bringing up the resource to the surface, I think we would get a much better picture, and also much faster than we are currently, unfortunately, relying on.
So an approach similar to the one applied to the mesopelagic would be kind of good for us, for the studies. Yeah,
perhaps.
Okay. Thank you very much. It seems that Gida has a question.
Yeah, well, I would just also confirm that I think there are absolutely a lot of very small scale surveys or looks at with the new technology where sea cucumbers are, but these are for the private use, or it's nothing that's put in system. I would just like to ask Bård Orbach, our representative from the Fishery Directorate in Norway. You mentioned this morning that there was now 4 companies that had got license to try new gear and do some fisheries. Is there any requirements to them to report what they catch, or any information that could be of use in the context of what have been mentioned here?
Yeah, in the permission given, they are obliged to report catch every month. And we also, 2 of the technologies have cameras attached on them. So we could possibly go into contact with them, because we also in the permission we have a sentence about the accessibility of the data for management and stock assessment purposes. So it could be a way to go.
Are there any size measurements or anything?
No, not size, only species.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. I think we got a little bit overview of the industrial perspective, also of the needs we have for research, for funding. Also, these authorities gave opinion. I think I cannot right now think of further questions to discuss. Olafur, would you have any kind of also comment from Mattis's point of view, what would be good to have in the future if we are focusing on sea cucumber research or advancement in the value chain.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a question of funding opportunities, and as you have reviewed, there are actually not many options at the moment. Here in Iceland, we have, you know, domestic funds where we, our Mattis, in collaboration with others, can apply to. We have the technical research fund, which would fit to this, and we have also also the Ranni's research fund, which is more you know, on practical research. Yeah, exactly. And we have also we had this marine research fund, but now it has been turned to a general food food research fund. But that would also be an opportunity there, you know. And but here, of course, the funds are limited, you know, rather low compared to European standards.
Yeah.
But still, we can do a lot. Nevertheless. But what about this Green Deal, the H 2020? Are there no opportunities within that?
Yeah, I was going to say that actually we're also trying to target international or European funding, because I think that the population study requires that you have a broader sampling, so that you can we can compare physically the different populations all around the Atlantic regarding the selected species. It cannot be on everything, but still, for a start, several species that are of highest potential and are mostly exploited currently already, because I would call it exploitation. A lot of fisheries, as we all know, they are extracting them without any background knowledge on how many there are. So we will attend, there is a presentation on the Green Deal. I was at the official opening event from the EU. Now everything is digital, so it's kind of easier to be everywhere. And there will be an opening explanation day, info day from the Norwegian Research Council also, which we are planning to attend. So we will see. Just for all the colleagues that are in with us now, that we are trying to target as HOLOSUSTAIN with all other interested stakeholders possibilities for additional funding in order to advance. So we have been we made one big application together, and we are targeting more. So all along the project and further, we will be making intents to take this as close to funding as possible. And we were advised on the previous occasion by the Research Council of Norway to break it into parts and start kind of also with the ecosystemic and population information, which we are trying to do. So if there is any feedback from the Green Day, the European Green Deal info day, I will come back to all interested parties and try to give some feedback, and then we see who would be willing to go further for a project. If you all agree, we will keep you in the loop and have you informed. And the project website is also a good platform for us to communicate. So there will be, it's updated very regularly, so we are posting there any news that we find relevant to the sea cucumber field. I saw, sorry, I'm talking too much. I saw that Vicky of Norway raised their hand, Vicky and Gunnar, and then I kept talking at the moment. So do you still have a question, guys, or it's, yeah, please go ahead.
I guess you were touching that now. It was something about the EU Horizon and funds there. We were on conference recently with the cluster, and there was some guy talking about, for him, his experience, it was kind of farming lobsters. They received up to like 3 million euro in funding from EU in different ways. And his experience was it was easier to get the funding since EU is not the country.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear if there's some experiences here in that field from you, from the research.
Yeah, well, our application in January, actually, it was a two-stage research and innovation project scheme. And we tried to target this on the aquatic side because it was aquatic and land resources. And actually, the highest note was 10. The cutoff is usually 8, but there were 130 proposals targeting this goal. So to the second stage, they left like 30. So in order to be able to do that, they raised the cutoff just for this call and for this topic from 8 to 9.5, and we stayed just below, so we couldn't continue. So it was really a kind of disappointing experience because we did a lot of effort in order to make the application as good as possible, and then it wasn't considered strategic to carry on. Of course, the competition is very hard, but also I can tell you the competition for the Norwegian Research Council is also very, very, very hard. And in the deadline for Forskerprojekt in March, there were, I don't know, like 1,000 projects or more for the same call. So it's getting more and more difficult actually for researchers to get funding. But we will keep trying. That's all I can assure.
That Mira, it's would it be easier for you to get funds if you were working closely with somebody, being close to the market, getting valuable insights, so you can easily track value in the commercial value for the funding part?
The importance of the companies is every time higher and higher because this is the value creation side, and then the European Commission always values actually this applied side of the science. But in the case of the aquaculture and the population studies, it's always a question of having some initial support from the governments until we get to a point where there could be value creation. So this is the part which is lacking so far. The support, the broader support to a good quality, high standard collaboration approach that can get the data that is needed in order to know more about several species at the same time and be able to compare and actually know more about the resource in the Atlantic. And it's really a pity that the Pacific species are so ahead of us, but it's normal also. They are more interested in them for centuries, so they've been investing effort into that. But it's strange because we are talking about high tech countries, all the countries in the Atlantic that actually can invert into this type of knowledge acquisition, have the capacity to do that, but this is a novel species, so it's kind of always left aside. Margaret has even more overview than me in this field, if you would like to comment something more. You have to unmute your microphone, Margaret.
Yes, in my point of view, it's really important to develop a quality standard for the sea cucumber from North Atlantic, and we must focus on the quality. And I know for sure that there could be a potential to cooperate with the industry in the old country in the North Atlantic in this topic.
Yes,
but can I just comment? But we still need, as I pointed out, we need raw material, and it's always a hope that the knowledge on the biology and quality can go, that it's a match and not a mismatch with available product, available market, and all this. But it's also a fact that it's never been easy to develop a new species starting on scratch. I mean, we have so many examples in Norway that we are that it goes ups and downs. You come to a certain limit, and then there are the industry just vanishes again. So it's never been easy with new marine species. I mean, we still call them new marine species like scallops and sea urchins, and we have been dealing with them for 30 years. So, and the sea cucumbers are really, really new in that context.
Yeah.
So it's important to secure the raw material from the wild, and also at the same time trying to produce more so that we all can be happy having enough all along.
Yep.
One comment is it's important to focus on the whole value chain to succeed, and then it's important to cooperate between countries and between species.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if we all try to, take further popularization of what we do and the focus on sea cucumbers, we will also manage to get more lobbying and get closer to the objectives. So we will definitely try to do that, and we keep in touch with all of you in this effort if it looks interesting and a good idea. Okay, if I think we have more or less got the conclusions that we needed, and we've discussed a little bit on our needs and opinions. So I would suggest that we close the roundtable now, and thank you all for being part of this. We only got one requirement for bilateral discussion after. So I would like to thank all the other colleagues and let you know that we are going to keep you all in the loop and send information, and please revise the project website also for the newsletters and all information. We post also scientific news regarding sea cucumbers, and in the newsletter that is published every 6 months, there are overviews of the last publications besides what is uploaded in the library. So with that, I would, if you all agree, give for closed roundtable. Olafur, what do you think?
Yeah, there is one request for breakout room. We try to arrange that now, but otherwise we are then finished.
Yeah, we are ahead of schedule, but
yeah.
If there are no more comments or issues to raise, I think that...
Thank you very much to the organizers for this event. And I think even if we missed the chance to go to Iceland, I think it was very good of you to arrange it anyway. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for hosting this and for all the support.
Yes, I just want to thank for all the interesting presentations and the pitches, and I found also the discussion now was very fruitful and nice. So I'm really happy with this. Okay, so
thank you. And
just close it now, yeah. And
yeah.
I will arrange the breakout rooms now.
Next time, hopefully, we will be meeting in person somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's true. Hopefully. Okay.
Okay. So, Olafur, just to let you know, the meeting, it's, shall I send you the names in the chat? what do you need in order to organize the meeting? So it's yes, Ellen and Christina and Gida. I don't know if Jan is online, but Jan is here as well. So if you can make them a room to talk.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think it's the first time I do it, so but I think I know how to do it. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, show yourself.
It's nice to try this thing.
Gida, move to breakout room 2.
Yes, Ellen,
and Jan Sunde, move to breakout room 2. Okay, so you are 4 persons in breakout
room 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but should they close now this or no? They just move to the room. How is this working?
I think we move to the room.
Okay, so.
Okay, guys, have a nice meeting and thank you for everything. And we keep in touch. Okay.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, let's keep in touch. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if this flies.
So are the whole world listening to us, or?
No, yeah, we're not. There should be a little sign saying that we're in the breakout room.
Yeah, but just a minute. So.
No, we should
I don't know yet. Out of here. Let me see. Yes.
So you have been signed to the breakout rooms, and then what?
Guess you need to start the breakout room.
Yeah, there should be a go button somewhere.
Well, it's a question. How do I? Just a minute.
You might also wish to stop the recording now of the session.
Yeah.